Hi, my name is EJ Massa. You know, I love me some brisket, but sometimes I'm just cooking for a family of two and a baby, and he don't eat any brisket.
He just eats yogurt, like a sissy.
He'll learn, or else he's not my son. So if I'm cooking for two, I don't need a whole brisket flat, and supermarkets usually overprice the little tiny cuts of brisket, so the next best thing is smoked chuck roast. And you know, in some ways I like it better. But hey, let's not just talk about it. Let me show you. This isn't a podcast. This isn't a barbecue podcast. Comment below if you want me to do a barbecue podcast.
I picked up a small chuck roast from Walmart. Just 2 pounds is enough for the two of us. I'll season it as usual using salt, pepper, garlic rub like the Killer Hogs AP rub, but you can use any combo of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Just, whatever you like. And then for beef, I like to use Montreal steak seasoning to get a nice textured crust, making sure to get the sides as well. And since I like my beef very peppery, I ground some pepper on top of that, and then added a tiny bit of paprika.
Paprika always reminds me of that episode of Blue's Clues when Mr. Salt and Mrs. Pepper have a baby and they name it Paprika. I watched a lot of Blue's Clues, and I was much too old to watch Blue's Clues. I still watch Blue's Clues.
So some eagle-eyed viewers noticed the Smokettle around the background of some of my videos. I used it prominently in what could be considered the first EJ Cooks with the beer can chicken.
It's not a bad device, but the slow and sear kind of took the spotlight since it's easier to use. Some people asked if I could do a review of the Smokettle, but I think the makers of the version that I have, the stainless steel version, I don't think they make it anymore. I think they make a foil version that they sell in 3-packs for $10. Maybe someday I'll buy that version and do a review on it, but for now, I'll just, since you guys were curious about the version I do have, the stainless steel version, I'm going to use that in a low and slow cook for you.
And it works in conjunction with the snake method, which I set up here. I made the snake extra long because once the Smokettle is on, it's difficult to add charcoal back in. I'm going to use a few chunks of hickory wood to smoke the roast. Here's the Smokettle, and as you can see, there's little feet which fit on the grill grate holders. I'll wrap it in foil so that it makes cleanup a breeze. Now it's time to get that snack all lit, boy! Fired up a small chimney and dumped those coals on one end. As you recall in my snake method video, I used a piece of foil to shield the meat from the heat as the fire moved around the fuse of the snake. But the Smokettle makes it so that the heat is more evenly distributed, and there's no need to add water to it. The Smokettle alone should be enough for the heat diffusion. I'll add in our temperature probe and let that guy come up at a temperature about 225 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll also stick a probe in the thickest part of the meat to get an accurate reading.
I want to cook this thing to 180 degrees Fahrenheit internal because then I'll have a roast that I can slice easily. If I cooked it to closer to 200 degrees, then I could pull it for tacos. Tacos. I should make some tacos. Comment below if you think I should do a podcast about tacos.
Anyways, I let it do its thing for about 2 hours and 25 minutes. The internal temperature of the meat got to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is usually when I wrap it to help it get out of the stall. The color already looks amazing, so I want to speed up things a bit. I placed the roast in 2 crisscross sheets of foil, poured a tiny bit of beef broth in, I think this was about 1/4 of a cup, wrapped it up tight, put it back on the pit until it reaches roughly 180 degrees Fahrenheit. At about the 4-hour mark, it got up to 185 degrees Fahrenheit, so I pulled it off. And oh man, it looks so tender and juicy, and the crust is perfect. So, let's cut into it. Oh yeah. Beautiful smoke ring, and the tenderness is right on point. Look at it glisten with the juice, and again, here's that yummy crust. And it tastes wonderful. A little bit more bite than how I usually cook brisket, but that's how I like it. But the flavor is beefy, zesty, and the hickory wood gave it a nice spiciness.
This is a great beef dish if you don't want to make a huge hunk of brisket. And chuck roast is usually pretty cheap in the grocery stores. So not a bad way to go if you have the time to low and slow cook it. The snake method combined with the Smokettle is stupidly easy. I think I had to adjust the vents like once or twice. It's pretty hands off.
And I didn't even use half the snake, so I could have smoked for 8 hours on this amount of charcoal.
You could probably make your own hack version of it if you just use a pizza pan, or maybe you saw off the the handle of a wok or something. Or try out their foil version and tell me if it's any good. So hey, I have an Instagram now, and I think I want to start posting pictures and stuff about cooks that I do not for EJ Cooks. I don't film everything that I cook, you know? So this will just be day-to-day stuff. And maybe some EJ Cook stuff. If you're interested in that, follow me at EJ Massa. And I also have a Twitter too, but I mostly just post my own videos and talk about Final Fantasy V. So if you're interested in either of those things, follow me at EJ Massa on Twitter. Just be warned, I'm bad at social media. I'm bad at branding. I mean, my show is called EJ Cooks. Like, how much thought did that take? None. Until next time, bye.